welcome to the A Game Plan Day 2. My name is Abiye Abere, and it's such an honor to host you on this day, the 4th of February 2023. Yesterday was an experience because I couldn't get enough of all that the speakers shared with us. And even if I'm done with undergrad, I found it as really insightful. And I'm sure that you, as undergrads, benefited so much from the sessions we had. Just to be sure that we have call and we can hear and see me, I like that we comment in the chat box the A game plan, the A game plan, the A game plan. I want to see all the comments. I want to see all the comments. The moment I notice that we can hear and see me, we can go on. I'm looking at the chat box now. I can't see anyone yet. I can't see anyone yet. The A game plan, just comment the A game plan. Let's be sure that we have people on the call already. The second day, and today is a day that you should get your notes, get your pen. I have my pen, I have my notes with me because I want to write and I want to learn as much as I can from. So if you're with me on this call, please comment, say something, type the A game plan, say hello, say something. Tell us about your experience from yesterday's meeting. Let's know that we are together so we can go on. I just check, confirm myself that we have people on the call now. Okay. I want to be sure that we have people on the call already. Okay, I can see that we have 2 persons on the call now. Great. I think we just go on because that was the plan. The plan was that we'd start at exact. If you're just joining us and you have people you want to benefit from this session, I can see that 4 persons are on already. So if you're just joining us and others to join us as well, do well to share the link, the second day link, with others so they can join to the second and final day of this insightful meeting. I'm definitely sure that at the end of this event, we would have a shift, not just in our minds, but in every. She's someone that you should meet. She's someone that you should listen to because her story is so inspiring and her words are so pure, as true as they should be and as they can be because of our experience she'll be sharing and our experience she has always shared. Personally, I've been inspired by her story, and I'm sure that her story and her experiences are going to inspire us for and to greatness today. So I would like that we just sit back and watch this video as we introduce the first speaker of today.
For Cynthia Chidera, Independent Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. The United Economic Scholarship Award, for Cynthia Chidera. Dr. Fred Adenika Book and Cash Prizes, for Cynthia Chidera. Chief Andrew Ebos Prize, Ezia Kune, Udoka Joseph. UTC Annual Prize, for Cynthia for Cynthia Chidera. Julie Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Foundation Dean's Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Professor Herbert Akinlolu Ojelola Memorial Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Pharmacist Council of Nigerian Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Nigeria Association of Industrial Pharmacists, Oyo State Prize, Department of Pharmaceutics and Industrial Pharmacy, Departmental Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Renowned Chemist Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Departmental Prize Dispensing, for Cynthia Chidera. Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Pharmacy Administration, Departmental Prize, for Cynthia Chidera. Department
Okay, thank you so much. We have the bio of the speaker coming to speak to us this evening. Our first speaker of today is the overall best graduating student of pharmacy of the University of Ibadan. She graduated with a CGPA of 6.9 out of 7.0, and she's currently the third place winner of the Shalina Young Talents Award competition, a quest for the best pharmacy brains in Nigeria. She was a nominee for the Award of Academic Excellence, 15 Most Outstanding Persons Award, JCI UI chapter. She's a public speaker and a winner of numerous debate competitions, including being the overall best speaker of the Chief Lanre Bello Interfaculty Debate Competition, JCI, University of Ibadan. She was the face of pharmacy and winner of the Miss Pharmacy pageantry for 2 years in a row. She attended Radiant Nursery and Primary School, Festac, Lagos. She began her undergraduate program at the University of Ghana and transferred to the University of Ibadan in 2017. She's a believer in the academic sector and identifies as a supernatural student, having the power of God as a pivotal necessity for success in academics. She is academic excellence personified. Please, with a resounding round of applause, let's welcome to the virtual stage pharmacist Cynthia Okafor.
Good
evening, Cynthia.
Good evening.
Nice to see you.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you too.
Over to you.
Okay. Can I have slides on so that I could just work with that? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Abby, for the opportunity. Please can the slides come up so that I could just work with that? Thank you very much. So I have just about 20 minutes to speak. I'll try to make it as fast and as well, it will be interactive towards the end, I guess. So the theme of this meeting is the A game plan, and I'll be speaking specifically on how to achieve academic excellence. He has already introduced me, Cynthia. My name is Cynthia, and this is the outline I'll be working with. So I'll just move on to the fourth slide. Yes, that's the outline I'll be working with. So, what is excellence? For me, excellence is that, is the characteristics of being extremely good, being the best, being top in everything you do. Okay, so I am trying as much as possible not to read the slides, but then it's not about the basic explanation for excellence is that, okay, this is a device, and I can't say that this device is excellent as at the time when I'm still making it. Nobody actually cares if I use this type of material or this other type of leather, or the amount of effort I put into producing it. Everybody just wants to, the only yardstick they have to judge whether this device is excellent or not would be based on the usage. So when you say someone is excellent, it really just depends on what they score in an exam, and not dependent on how long they studied, or number of classes they attended, or how hard they worked. So usually I like people to think of excellence as a spirit. It's excellence. Diligence is not always equal to excellence, unfortunately. So yes, just think of excellence as something that, as a gift, as something that just comes upon you. Okay, so the next slide, please. Please, can we zoom the slide in a bit so that that's possible? So this is a grading system of this was what we used in my secondary school. I attended Lagos High School, like you already said. So for us, excellence starts at 96%. It just runs through 96 to 100%. So it gives you have a lot of work to do in trying to strive, to get an excellent grade. Because I mean, it's a very narrow index for you to get a score that is actually excellent. And I enjoy training with this because it already helps you know that, like, when I got to the university and I saw that some people would say, oh, they want to pass this course, they want to get 60. I'm like, 60? Is that a score? Like, why are you aiming for 60 when you can always aim for a 96 to 100? So for me, this was excellence, and that was what I ran through. And I just got used to it from secondary school. And for a plus, my secondary school, I don't know how many secondary schools do that, but my secondary school started the CGPA system in 2008. So I was already kind of used to the CGPA system since JSS1. So yes, please. Next slide. Okay, so the spirit of excellence. I'll just use this to illustrate. So the spirit of excellence is something that is caught. It's not something that is worked for. And I don't know how many of us on this call are believers, but then you must have at least heard or maybe studied in CRS the story of Elijah, the sons of Elijah. So Elijah is a prophet, yes, and he has the spirit of God upon him, and he was going to be taken up. And he had people who have worked with him for a long time. Those are the sons of Elijah. So they've been like maybe errand boys, assistants, and then there's Elisha that just shows up and he wants the mantle. So at that point, it's not about who has worked from the beginning. It's about who does this mantle on Elijah fall upon, and it happened to fall upon Elisha. So that was how he got here. So, like I said, spirit of excellence is something that is caught. You can literally catch it from someone. That means I can be talking to you today, and then you just see that you've caught something from this seminar, you've caught something from the other speakers that have spoken, and maybe you've learned something, and that thing just changes your learning pattern, it just changes your academics, okay, and then you know that you've caught something. So it may not be that you worked harder per se, it may just be that you just caught light on some things. So diligence is not always proportional, not always proportionate to excellence, because I mean there are a lot of people working hard out there. There are some people who read for hours and unfortunately still fail. There are some people who are in Bodija markets who are pushing wheelbarrows in different kinds of market, and they are expending energy, they are putting in so much work, but it doesn't really look excellent when you think about it. So yes, excellent really, it's how whatever you've done comes out. Like it's the picture that you give at the end. That's what excellence is about. Next slide, please. The next slide, please. Thank you very much. So this picture just shows two very hardworking people. So it's left to you to pick. When I say someone is being excellent, it is not exclusive of hard work. It means that the person is like you just literally just like the result. You know, there are some people that you just see and you're like, oh my god, this reading is so effortless. Like you're literally not doing the whole CDB till daybreak, morning till night. But then the results you have, like people just want to have those kind of scores. And it's not like you killed yourself in studying with other people. It's not like you were doing night cap or overnight reading. If that's your style, that's fine. But then you can literally pick your hard work. There are some people that hustle. I hate that word hustle or struggle, or I've literally deleted them from my dictionary because I don't want it to enter into my lifestyle. So when I think of schoolwork, I think of excellence, I think of grace. When I'm studying, I think of, oh, I'm responding to the blessing. God has really blessed us with brains, right? So I don't have to toil and I don't have to struggle before I can get stuff. So that's it for me. Next slide. I think we'll just delve right into how to achieve academic excellence. So next slide. I'm trying to beat side. Okay, so what excellence is not? So excellence is not ambience or a fizzy mediocre or just let's just pass. Like if you're the kind of person, if you're the kind of student that says, okay, let's just pass this course, let's just get a 50. I don't know how to make this to you, but you may not pass, because this is how it works. If you want to be excellent and you tell yourself, okay, you want to score 96 to 100, not considering the kind of course it is, whether it's maybe an English course where people supposedly don't get 100 and all that. If you can tell yourself you want to score 96 to 100 and something happens, maybe you get shocked in the exam by some funny kind of questions from lecturers, or things just don't go as planned, you're not able to study enough, you know that at least you can fall from that 96 to like an 80 something, or it's like a 70 something. But if you tell yourself that you want to score 50, you want to pass, you want to get above 50 so you can pass, and the slightest thing goes wrong, or you're not even able to read the night to the exam, it's very likely that you will fall below 50, and then I mean you could do better by giving yourself like a better goal to work with. So just good enough is hardly ever good enough. It's never good enough. So excellence it's very far away from being just good enough. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll just rush through this very briskly. So my own role model for excellence is Daniel, because Daniel had transgenerational influence. I mean, this is someone that it's like saying 3 different governments and they were overthrowing each other, yet they kept saying this particular person should remain in government. It's like saying, oh, Yaradua was president and then his vice president or special advisor was Daniel, and then maybe he was in a political party, and then somebody else is coming in, let's say Obasanjo is coming in and then he's in maybe PDP, and then he's still saying, okay, this person that served before in the former government should come again and serve in my own tenure, and then he finishes his own term and somebody else comes in from, let's say, Labour Party, and then they are saying, okay, the only person that can do this is Daniel. That means that he had something. You know, the Bible calls that in the spirit of excellence. And then he had friends. He had 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they were also like, because of that association, you could literally tell that these people had the spirit of excellence upon them. So when all the other magicians in their realms, that's like their classmates, their own classmates, when they had a problem that they couldn't solve, all they had to do was just pray and then walk. So it was not like they were not working, they were trained. So these people had gone to school, that means they had studied, but the spirit of excellence was what made them different. And then the Bible said that in all matters of wisdom that they inquired of them, or of which they examined them, they found them to be 10 times better. That means that for every classwork they gave, for every test, for every exam, for every homework, for everything they did, it just happened that they were 10 times better than every other person in their realm. So that means that if that thing is upon you, you can write an exam with someone that you literally attended the same class with, were taught by the same lecturer, did the same homework, did everything, and then it just happens that the answers you give in the exam, they're it's spot on. Like, it's 10 times better than every other person in your class. That's literally what excellence can do for you. Next slide, please. Thank you. So how do we achieve academic excellence? I'm so sorry, I'm not using my laptop, so I am okay. So what's the first step to achieving academic excellence? The first step is to be diligent. I usually tell people that as a student, your primary role in school, that you're even in a university, like anybody even paid school fees for you, is for you to study. Yes, we all want to do extracurricular activities, which is fine, which is awesome, but then your first assignment, your primary assignment, is to study. Like, a student that is not reading is as bad as a father that is not providing for his children, is as bad as a mother that is not taking care of her children, because you're also not playing your part, and it's not fair on your parents, your guardians, or whoever it is that is sending you to school. It's not fair on yourself also, if you're supposed to be in school and you're stabbing classes, or you're coming to school late, or you're not just diligent, you're just lazy, you're too busy to read. I mean, your primary assignments, no matter how giving you are to every other extracurricular activity, or even to your church or to your mosque, you need to remember that your primary assignment as a student is to study. So don't pile up your work. Don't wait till exam period. Don't even wait till test period. For me, if school starts February 4th, I start reading February 4th. It may not be a lot, because many of the lecturers just do like, introduction, but at least to use that day to gather past questions. I would have most likely gathered past questions before then, or just use that day to like read something the lecturer taught you that day. You're most likely to remember something faster if you read it, or it's going to stay in your head like more solidly if you go through what the teacher has taught you that same day. Unlike if they taught you something in February and then the test is April and you're just opening like ending of March, it can't be as fresh as it would be if you had read it the same day that it was taught. So you need to learn to be diligent with your schoolwork. Second, you need to learn to choose your circle of friends, and then that means you're choosing your sitting position in class very wisely. So like I said, I talked about Daniel and his 3 friends. So his 3 friends, after they were able to interpret the dream, like for me now, I'm a pharmacy student, so what I do is pharmaceutical chemistry, I do pharmaceutics, I do pharmaceutical microbiology in class. But then for Daniel and his 3 friends, they were magicians. So what they were doing, what they were being taught in school, what they were studying, what they were being trained for, is to interpret dreams. So that's their own classwork, that's their own assignments. So there was a dream that Nebuchadnezzar had that other magicians, their other classmates, were not able to interpret, but he and his 3 friends were able to get the interpretation for that dream. So as a result, he and his 3 friends got government contracts, they got promotions, they got appointments. Okay, so that door literally opened because they were friends. So imagine they didn't know themselves, imagine they were not friends, it would have probably been only Daniel. The rest of them wouldn't have had any government appointments, so to say. So you need to be careful when choosing your friends. Don't go and choose people that are not ready. Don't go and choose people that are not, like, you see this person's academic story is not the kind of story you want to have. I don't mean don't relate with them. Yes, it's good to be social with everybody and all, but then when it comes to studying, you need to actually know who you want to. I won't really say a study partner, because it depends on you. I really didn't have a study partner, but just know what works best for you and know like how to pick your circle of friends. I also give an example here to consider myself, Cynthia, and my colleague. She's a pharmacist. Her name is Anu. So I'll just give you her brief story. So as at the time I was transferring from the University of Ghana to the University of Ibadan, my friend Anu had finished a first degree in the University of Ibadan. She didn't do well. She studied chemistry. She didn't finish the first class. She finished with like maybe 2-1, I guess. But then she failed. Like she failed maybe 1 or 2 courses here and there. And then she just didn't think that school was her thing. So when she was coming back for pharmacy, she already told herself that, see, as I'm getting admission to this pharmacy, I already have a degree in chemistry. If pharmacy doesn't work out, I'm just going to get a job with my chemistry degree. I'm not going to stress myself about school and all that. So she just wanted to get 50s or slightly above 50s and just pass. But then that wasn't possible for her, because when we first came in, we're in the same hostel. So inherently, we just saw ourselves reading together, not reading together, but like checking on each other, because the whole study group, like reading partner, doesn't really work for me, because sometimes when it gets, scared, if somebody else is reading faster than me and I'm unable to catch up, I'll start, there'll be a lot of pressure. So many times I just advise people to read alone first before you meet your partner and all. But so we started just studying together. We'll do assignments together, think through stuff together, go through past questions together, just encourage ourselves with academics together. And we just saw that we were getting similar scores in things, in assignments. We sit very far away from each other in class because I like to sit in front. And then, from the exams, you just see that, we are understanding things at the same pace. Like we're really grabbing this thing. Like it's like we're doing it together. And when it was time to graduate, I had a 6.9 CGPA out of 7, and she had a 6.1 CGPA out of 7. She had never imagined that she would finish with the first class. She did chemistry and she was not able to achieve that. But then imagine she had maybe just the same set of friends she had when she was in chemistry. She also wouldn't have been able to finish the first class here in pharmacy. So pick your friends wisely. At the same time, don't be an island. You may need to read with people sometimes. You need to ask a few questions here and there. So yes, in university not like secondary school. So as much as possible, you need to learn to interact with people around you, ask questions, just be friends with people around you so that you can learn from everybody. It's a learning environment. That's why it's a university. Next slide, please. Okay. Yes. So work with timetables and schedules. Yes, for me, I wish I had brought it. I'm currently at work, but then I have like small jotters, like very tiny jotters, as tiny as this. Just as tiny as this. I just have them in my bag every day. Like when I wake up in the morning and I've prayed, I just write down, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to apply for this. I want to study this. By 10 o'clock, I must have done this. I need to read math today. I need to do 20 minutes of English. This is this. So like I have like time schedules. I don't just wake up in the morning and you'll be flowing with how the day goes, and you're just like, life is just throwing anything at you and you're just accepting it because you don't have a plan for your day. That means anybody can just come and just engage in a 2 hours gist with you because you don't have anything doing. So you need to learn to like have your time arranged. You need to learn to work with timetables. You need to learn to work with schedules. Apart from exam timetables, test timetables, I usually have a study timetable so that I'm not going to say I forgot to read for a particular course. You'll be surprised, like the kind of things that happen to undergrad students. Like if you don't plan your time, it's very likely that you would waste your time. Anything just like earning salary. If you don't plan your money very well, you most likely waste. So have to-do lists on your phone, on your jotter. The phone thing doesn't really work well. In school, it didn't used to work so well for me, but then now it does work. So whatever works for you is fine. Whether phone, whether something handy, physical that you could just write and then tick off the things you've done. So I will list like 10 things I'm supposed to do in a day, and maybe I've done 6 and I tick 6 off. And let's say there's this very tedious thing I'm supposed to do in a day or like 3 days. I maybe schedule like 3 days for it, and I'm able to do it in like 2 days or 2.5. I reward myself. Shawarma, pizza, anything I really enjoy. I think for me, it encourages me to like ensure that I use my time very well. Time is life. Like it's 6:30 now. We can't go back to 6 o'clock, 4th February 2023. Like it's gone forever. Like we can't regain that 6 o'clock again. It's already gone. So anything you didn't do as at 6 o'clock, that we can't regain that period. So if you're wasting your time, painful to hear, but you're actually wasting your life. So it's good to plan your time. It's good to have timetables, schedules, to-do lists, just things to guide you all through it, to help you to actually become an excellent person. Be accountable. Sometimes you think that you're actually putting in your best, but you don't know that you are not. So it's good to be accountable to someone you know that can call you to order if you are going astray, so to say. So for me, I said I have a friend, her name is Fam Anu. So like I could maybe 2 days I've not read, and I'm just like, she just sees me when I'm scrolling through Instagram, like I'll just report myself in that I've not read. If you carry this phone from me, better you carry it now, that kind of thing. If you just, to whoever it is that can actually help you, if it's your pastor, if it's your parents, your guardian, a senior in school, your elder siblings, anybody that you just know that you can be accountable to and that can actually call you to order that, oh, like this is what you scored. I remember there was the funny story, but there was the time I scored 0 in a particular test. And I just knew that this was not what I wanted for that particular. I didn't hide the script and say, hey, Cynthia, how can this be happening? I literally took a picture and I sent it to like 3 very important people in my life, and I said, okay, this is what I had. Sent to my pastor that this is what's going on in my life, or I don't know where else it's come from. And then from that, I was able to bring myself together again, and then just put myself in order, and then know what exactly to do at that time. So even if you're having a challenge in school, it's advisable that you share it with someone, be accountable to someone, like have maybe an accountability partner or just someone that you can confide in and someone who is willing and able to help you. Then the 5th one, ask questions. I usually I find it baffles me how that a lot of undergrad students have problems confronting their lecturers to ask questions. There's no wickedness you want to have in this life as a lecturer. As far as I've paid school fees, I will ask you a question. Then, as in that I've paid school fees to the school, I will ask you a question, because you're being paid to ensure. You're not just being paid to teach me. You're not just being paid to lecture me. You're being paid to ensure that I understand, like that I'm a future leader for tomorrow. That means that if they call me to ask me this so and so thing in pharmacy and it was your responsibility to teach me, I must know it. So if there's anything I don't understand, I'm not shy to ask questions in class. I don't mind raising my hand 5 times in a day in a class to ask questions till I get it. I'll follow lecturers to their office if you're not able to explain properly in class, or maybe I went home and I read through and I didn't understand, maybe I saw a past question I didn't understand. I'm coming back to meet you in your office, sir or ma. So that's just it. Know that your lecturers have been paid to put you through. The lab attendants, they are there to guide you. So you should always, it's not embarrassing to ask questions. Your classmates, whether your classmates, whether they are older than you or not, there's no limit to, like I said, university is a learning environment, so you should be comfortable asking anybody any kind of question at all. You don't feel shy about it. Even if there are some things that you need to ask your juniors, maybe you're taking a course over again, or there's just something that you didn't understand from the past, don't feel anyhow. It's not going to be written on your forehead that you ask anybody any questions. So just be humble enough to ask questions when you have questions to ask. Okay, so the next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so now don't compare yourself to anybody. The Bible actually says that anybody that compares themselves to another person is foolish. So don't be foolish. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Like, it will make you feel less of yourself. That somebody else is doing exceedingly well and somebody is scoring in 90 doesn't mean you should start asking yourself whether you have 2 heads. And if you see anyone that is trying to compare you, you can politely just, well, if you're not in a position where you can walk out, you can literally shut your mind down from accepting what that person is saying. No matter what, you must learn not to compare yourself with anybody. My friend that I spoke about from Manu, we could be reading a particular course and she can finish it in 30 minutes. 30 minutes is even much for her to finish something. If you ask her any question, she would know it. But for me, I don't mean to exaggerate. I remember materials, farm chem, that I'll open, and but at the end there was a particular course, 5 hours, 30 minutes or so. I was just in page 2. Like, that's how slow I was in reading at some point. So by that time, comparing myself to, yes, I was comparing myself to you, but I just noticed it was making me slower. It was making me feel less of myself, like making me feel inadequate. So don't even bother. Don't start that. The Bible calls it foolish. So don't be foolish. Don't try to compare yourself to anybody. Don't try to portray that. Don't even give it a thought at all. 7, don't wear an armor when you're used to a stone, especially when it's close to an exam period or a test period. Okay, so just do what you should already know what works best for you, and then you should try that. So don't follow the crowd to do things. Okay. So there are a lot of people who I see it happen a lot, especially in 100 level, when people just come in, they see that, okay, everybody's going to the library to study overnight, and then they are there overnight, whether they're going to sleep or whether they're going to be distracted by one boy and one girl that are doing something, whether they're going to whether they're going to be watching movies or gisting. They only start to just say that they went to the library to study overnight. At the end of the day, you may even see that night reading does not pay you. If you're like my kind of person, Anything 9 o'clock, I've slept. That's why I start reading from the beginning of the semester, so that I'll not now be trying to drink caffeine, drink Pepsi that makes me sleep, take coffee, do all sorts just to be awake a day to exam. Yes, there are sometimes that you may actually need that, but then you see that you're under less pressure if you're doing what works best for you right from the beginning. So don't go and wear an armor a day to an exam when you are already used to a stone. If you're used to writing, if you're used to printing out your materials hard copy, as simple as it is, that some people are used to printing out their materials hard copy and reading it. You don't want to follow those that are doing phone method, laptop method. God will now help you the day to the exam. There's no light in the whole university. How are you going to study? So do what works best for you. It happened in the Bible where David was going to face Goliath, and Saul gave him the armor to wear. And it was too heavy. I said, please take this thing off me. I'm not used to it. Let me use the stone that I'm used to. So you do what works best for you. You don't need to copy anybody. You don't need to follow anybody. Like there's you have the opportunity to try out new things. Yes, but then not a day to exam, not a week to test. Any new thing you want to try, you must have done it before. Don't be testing yourself like too close to exams or try methods that you're not used to. Okay, so the next slide will give an analogy that I gave, like just something I saw. Next slide, please. That just shows why you should not copy people. Okay, so Samson at some point in his life encountered a lion. What did he do? He tore the lion into two, killed the lion. David too, he was tending his father's sheep, and then lions attacked, or a lion attacked, and what did he do? He killed the lion. Imagine if Daniel was thrown into the den and then he started struggling to he must kill because other people have killed lions. It may not be your own this thing. Do what works for you. That may not be your own calling. You don't have to copy people. Gender, I don't know if you understand that. I don't know if you are flowing, but then as much as possible, don't copy people. So I remember there was a time I went to school. Next slide, please. I went to school I was like, okay, let me just see. I've been in my room studying for a while. I used the reading room sometimes in the hostel when I was still in the hostel, and I just felt I needed a change of environment because I was getting too relaxed. And then I came to school and I saw that this was about 9 a.m. in the morning. Next slide, please. And people had not had their bath. People had not brushed their teeth. They were just staying in the reading. They were in class, like doing overnight reading from Friday to Saturday. And I'm like, this cannot be me. Like, this does not work for me. I won't even be comfortable. So imagine now trying that the Saturday before a Monday exam. So just do what works for you, okay? No pressures. Don't try to copy anyone. Start early. I already said that you should start studying from the first day of school as much as possible. Don't wait till exam period. You'll be under too much pressure to understand things. The best you can get from that period is cramming, and then it doesn't help you because what if the questions in the exam are not word for word? So that's another thing that helps me. So excellence means that you may not really know, what excellence is, that you've not is at your fingertips, like you just do it and it's just fine, it's just beautiful. So that means that you've not crammed something. They ask you that, oh, how does this happen? You've already learned it from the beginning of the semester, so it's easy for you to flow in the exam hall because you understand it. It's easier to portray excellence that way than when you're just cramming something a night to the exam. That's why you need time. You need to learn to prepare early and well ahead of time. Then the 10th thing is that you should kill fear and confess positively. Don't allow fear to get to you. Don't choose panic at any time. Like be intentional about it, like not panicking. Like you really need to give an arm's length to people who panic before exams. It doesn't help you, and before you know it, the fear can seep into you too. So don't listen to people who speak negatively about studies. Don't speak fear. Don't speak failure. I hope I still have time. I'm almost done. Don't speak fear. Don't speak failure. Don't speak negativity. Like when people say that, oh man, everybody don't bank this course, I'm like, not everybody. Like it could be. I see. Even in that test that I had 0. Like when everybody was saying, oh mom, we don't bang, I'm not part of I'm not part of the banging group. Like I'm really intentional about what I say, because the Bible says that we are ensnared by the words of our mouth. It may feel like it's a superstition, but you actually have what you say. Like it doesn't cost God anything to just say, oh yeah, light appear, earth, heaven, let this one, oh yeah, let man up. But he had to keep saying, let there be lights. Let the water be separated from this. So there's something about saying something. Like I would just tell myself, I've confessed on this course. Like even if I'm scoring 0, and yes, for the record, I was actually the best grading student in that course also, that I had scored a 0 in test for, because I will not confess that I don't, like, you have to be careful what comes out from your mouth. Like, don't be saying, oh, and some, don't even speak down on your reading. Like, when somebody says, Cynthia, you the jack, now you the jack pass, and they are whining you. I mean, the jack pass. Like, my parents pay school fees for me to study, so yes, I need to jack. So don't be ashamed about your studying. Don't feel anyhow. Don't try to feel like, because it will just make you feel like, I don't know, you just keep underestimating yourself. So as much as possible, watch what comes out of you. The same way, somebody will say that, imagine you were poor, say, I cannot be poor. God forbid I can't be poor. God forbid I can't have cancer. It's the same way someone should not come and be telling you that we don't bang and you accept it like that. Because academics, take it or leave it, is a major part of your life. Even if you're not going to do something maybe professional in future, your academics will still serve like as a form of mentorship for your children or for people around you. And then it's just good to be educated a lot of times. So yes, let your academics be that important for you not to allow negative thoughts to surround you or your academics. And then I think this is the last point: follow the leadings of God's Spirit. This is the most important. Just spend time praying, seeing what God has for you about your academic success, and then establish a relationship with God. If you're not giving your life to Christ, or if you are not faithful in serving God, you should, because it actually helps out with your academics. It's like saying it's the same way God can heal from his sickness, it's the same way God can help with your academics, because God is literally interested in everything that concerns you. Like, everything that pertains to you, God is interested in, including your academics. So you can learn to venture into that also. And then I think the last slide, please, or second to last slide. Okay, yes. So this are just this is the back of the jotter that I used for my graduation, and then it just has like some of the scriptures I used to meditate on when I was in school, and then it's like tailored to me, things that God has told me about my academics. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, success is not stressful, and you just need to have that at the back of your head. Like, no matter what, even if I have to read 24 hours, even if I have to read overnight, tell yourself that it's not stressful. It doesn't always have to be stressful for it to be excellent. And then the next slide. So yes, I'm part of the Supernatural Students Telegram channel, and I listen to their messages a lot. The next slide, please. And I think that's the final slide. So those materials have really helped me to like know what to shut down in my academics and what to pick up, and actually help me right from, I've been listening to them from 200 level, and then it helps build me from scratch to ensure that I, had seemingly perfect academics. I think that would be all. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll be open to answer any questions. Once it's time for the questions, I'll just let the next speaker come in. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope I've been able to help or inspire.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was amazing. That was so much. My note is actually full. I was writing down. I was so much to write down. Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was insightful. I hope we are taking in a lot. I hope we are writing. And I wanted to ask Cynthia, just bring Cynthia back on the call. Cynthia, will we be able to get this shared to us via email? Are we open to share this via email?
You mean the slides?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem. Sure.
Okay, then. So what we're going to do is that for everyone on this call, I believe that you received an email from the A Game Plan. So do well to request for your copy of the slide that was used for her presentation so that you can get it, so that you can go through it, because I know she was trying to give us as much as she could within the time. So you can look at it, all the scriptures she wrote down that helped her. You can also adopt those scriptures, speak them, and I know that it will be well with you. It's very good to stand out academically, especially as a believer, right? If you're someone that professes Jesus and you're not doing well academically, it just doesn't sync. It's not just in sync with who you are in Christ. God is excellent and you should be excellence personified, just like Cynthia. I would see one day her video during graduation much later, so we'd understand what we should aspire towards having. Even if you're in final year right now and you're looking at this and it doesn't seem like you're going to be best graduating student, you may not even graduate with the first class, you may maybe not graduate the 2-1, but you should know that life is beyond 2-1 or first class and all of these things. If right now you're having this information to be excellent, you can actually go for excellence, and trust me, you will be glad that this event made a shift in your life. What if you actually have a 5.0 GPA this semester? It will be written in the sands of time that you had a 5.0 during your stay in school. So it's something worth aspiring for. Please, I'd like to ask you for a favor. You can share this link with your friends so that they can join us on this call. You should also like this video and subscribe to this channel, because moving forward, I'll also be posting some tips concerning academic excellence and university life that you should anticipate to watch and listen to. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. If you have any questions, do well to write it in the chat box. I can see that a lot of persons are writing things that they learned from the session. Please write down your questions in the chat box so that we can take them during the panel session. And for your information, all our speakers are going to be on the panel session. So prepare your questions ahead of time so that during the panel session, we can take as much as we can. So we'll be introducing the second speaker right now. And he's not someone strange to us because he was on the call yesterday. He was one of the panelists yesterday, and he said so much. He means so much to me because he is one of my academic mentors. He right from secondary school, my friends in secondary school, and he's someone that I've looked up to when it comes to academics. He's somehow like my John the Baptist. He just goes ahead of me and things he has done. He just tells me how he was able to do it, and then I find it easier to do those things. And what is life if we don't help people with our success stories? And that's what Cynthia was saying. Your academic excellence can actually inspire other persons around you to chase the same. And that's what Serial has done for me. So coming up to speak to us is a dedicated energy industry professional with experience that cuts across oil and gas production engineering and energy market research analysis. His passion for the energy transition and sustainable leadership has seen him being involved in several spaces concerned with clean energy solutions and career mentorship and guidance. He has an MSc with distinction in petroleum engineering from Imperial College London and a Bachelor of Engineering in petroleum and gas engineering, first class honors from the University of Port Harcourt. His drive for his career is very much propelled by scripture-guided principles such as those written in Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, Philippians 4:13, and Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29. I'd like us to celebrate as we welcome Cyril Pepple to speak to us on how to prepare for graduate studies and opportunities. Please put your hands together for him. Good
Thank
evening,
you.
Cyril.
Hi, Avie. Good evening. Thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you.
So
Aside the John the
much.
Baptist part.
Thank you. The stage is all yours now.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Please, can I have my slides up? Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Please, can you confirm? Okay. Yeah. Those are my slides. Thank you. All right. So today I'll be speaking on preparing for graduate studies, how to prepare for international graduate studies and opportunities. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. So So there are some benefits of a graduate degree. I've already been introduced. I had my bachelor's degree at University of Port Harcourt, and just just like some of you, I was in Nigerian class with Nigerian classmates with the dream of one day studying outside the country, not just studying outside Nigeria, but also um, influencing that sort of landscape when I do that. So I discovered there are some benefits of having a graduate degree for a start, and one of these benefits is you know enlarging your professional network. You'd realize that when you're like an undergraduate student, most of the time you're constrained by the Nigerian landscape. You're constrained by activities just within Nigeria, maybe the politics of the state or the local government where a school is located in, or the politics of the country, as the case may be. And you don't necessarily have that opportunity to be more intentional about your professional network. But when you go for a graduate degree, you know that people who are going for graduate degrees, it costs a lot of money, and it's something that has, it involves a lot of effort. So if you're going for that kind of degree, you should expect that people you intend to, or people you hope to meet in the same class, would be people who would be, able to help you expand that network like meaningfully. And another point is, when you earn a graduate degree, you're likely going to be on. I'm turning my pointer. Okay, so when you earn your graduate degree, you're likely going to have, the prospects of earning much higher than you would earn in the Nigerian landscape. So, for example, someone who goes to university in Nigeria with just a bachelor's degree starts an entry level role, and start paying that person. Most of the time, because that person just has like a bachelor's degree, their earning potential is it's a bit limited. And before you can get to that point where you can start earning like you can start earning something commensurate with the kind of skills you're putting into the company, it might take a while. It might take about 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. But with a graduate degree, which can be an MSc, a PhD, or even a business management program, once you're done with that degree, your earning potential is more skyrocketed. And then another point is, with a graduate degree, you're looking out for specialized knowledge. For most of us at undergraduate level, we most of the things they teach us. Like for me, I studied petroleum and gas engineering at undergraduate level. So I was doing some courses from petroleum engineering, some courses from other engineering disciplines. Yes, I was quite specialized, but not as specialized as what I did in my master's, where I was going in depth into specific areas. Even my research area was much more specific than it was during my undergraduate time. So with a graduate degree, you're looking at, just imprinting your name in the sands of time that this is one area you're a specialist in, something you're very, very good at. And also, accelerated career growth, very, very much related to higher earning potential. So with a graduate degree, your chances of having an accelerated career are more increased. For example, finishing a master's in certain programs, or a business management program, or even a PhD, you're likely going to be projected for senior roles, maybe senior management roles, or just managerial roles, especially when your choice of degree is in an area of high demand. Then the fifth one would be for those who are thinking of changing a career, they're changing their career trajectory. So, for example, you study, let's say you study mass communications at undergrad, and you want to do something else. Maybe you want to do psychology, or you want to do something else, and you don't want to go back to your undergrad. I remember the previous speaker mentioned, her friend who like has 2 degrees here. And imagine you don't want to go back to your undergrad, but you want to do something else. You want to switch. An easier way to do that is to actually go for like a master's program, where you can, you can just start taking some courses, some prerequisite courses, and then you're up to speed, and you've already started changing your career trajectory just by taking on the master's program. And the final one, of course, there are many, but I just try to streamline them to just these 6. It's also an opportunity for you to develop new skills. I have some friends who have done their masters in courses like data science. I mean, from petroleum engineering now. They've done their masters in data science, they've done their masters in software engineering. And these are courses that when you're done with them, you're very, very sure, like you're a hot cake already for the tech industry, like a master's or a PhD in some of these tech disciplines. I'll just move on to the next slide. Yeah, so preparing for graduate studies, whether you're preparing for graduate studies with Nigeria in mind, or you're preparing for graduate studies with an international scenario in mind, it's very, very important that you just have like this requirements. Number one, your travel documents. I think for every person, as we're all getting our PVCs right now, I think one other thing we should be thinking about getting as well is our international passport. Just get that document because it's very, very important. If you want to make any decision, even if you want to go back to, you want to still do your undergraduate degree, your graduate degree in Nigeria, you might be invited for conferences. You might be invited to speak at conferences. You might be invited to make presentations, and you need your international passport. So international passport is very, very important. That's why I've included it as the first thing. So for anybody considering an international graduate degree, your international passport, I'll say it again, your international passport is very, very important because you also need your international passport to register for some of these exams, standardized tests, and even to apply to some schools. Another thing you want to get from your university is your academic transcripts. As soon as you're done, or just when you're about rounding off your program, start disturbing your head of department or the results body in your university to start preparing your transcript because you need your transcript. Your transcript is that document that can speak for you before you eventually get into that room. Your transcript, your certificate. So when people just look at your transcript during the screening process or your certificate and they're like, oh, who's this person? They're already impressed maybe by your grades or something or by your consistency. And then when you finally introduce yourself through your personal statement or your references, your transcript and your academic certificate has already done a lot of work for you. And then the final one is, you need to write some, I've mentioned references. References are like documents of recommendation from your lecturers or who you've worked with via internships or different even volunteering activities, people who can write you recommendation letters. Maybe you're applying for a scholarship and then they're like, oh, okay, I've known this person for a while. I think they are very, very much suited for this graduate program. I recommend her for this scholarship. I recommend her for this award. Another thing is your personal statement. Your personal, yes, your personal statement is also another document that it sort of sells your potential to any team that's reviewing your application. It sells everything about you. If, for example, there was a semester you were sick, or there was a semester that you weren't quite consistent, it's in your personal statement that you're going to tell them that in this semester I had these issues. In this semester, this was a major problem. Stories like that. It's in your personal statement that you're going to document all those experiences. And just to highlight, with respect to references, right now, if you're in 100 level, 200 level, or even if you're about rounding off, you're about leaving the school, I think it's important that you maintain good relationship with your lecturers, because when you're going to be needing them to write you recommendation letters tomorrow, you don't want to be chasing them about. It's something that should come so easily to you, especially if you've had like a good relationship with them already. Especially if you've had a good relationship with them already. So when you email them, sir, ma, please, can you write me a recommendation letter? I'm going to send you the link. And they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. When they know you, it just makes the job easier than when you're like a ghost student in the class and they don't really know you, and you're going to meet them for a recommendation letter, and they're like, who is this person? Did you attend any of my classes? What did you get in this grade? What did you get in that grade? So it makes a lot of sense to have that, that rapport with your lecturers, or just have a good relationship with them, so that it makes the job easier for you when you're applying for, when you're making your applications. And then on standardized tests. So on standardized tests, I have like a dedicated slide for it, but you need standardized tests most of the time because of where we are from, because of where we are from, with respect to the English test now, because of our country, Nigeria, and also with respect to the, will I say, the uneven nature of educational programs across the globe. So people want to regularize, they want to normalize educational standards, especially coming from West Africa. They want to, that's why it's a standardized test. They want to see how, what's the quality of your undergraduate degree as touching the program you're applying for. So I'm just going to move quickly to the next slide. Yeah, so these are a couple of international graduate opportunities that people usually consider. I've just categorized them into like 4 different categories. There's a self-sponsored opportunity. If you're looking out for international graduate programs or graduate programs overseas, and you want to sponsor yourself, you have a lot of money, you just want to sponsor yourself for that program. I think this is very, very prevalent in, every country. I think all the countries in the world, they have options for you to sponsor yourself, for you to actually pay all the tuition required for you to study overseas. And it's possible at the MSc, PhD, or even at the MBA level. Then the second one, the partial funding offer, something that it's applicable in some universities, usually universities in the US, I think Canada, and the United Kingdom as well. So what a partial funding offer is that you get, you apply to a school and you apply for the school to fund your grad program, rather than giving you total funding, like payment for your tuition and your living expenses. They can decide to just, give you a discount on the fees, on the tuition, or decide to just, give you like 50% of that. Oh, sorry, some of the slides aren't clear. There's a way you can modify your settings on your YouTube. So if you go to your settings, you can modify it to advanced so that you can give like a much higher picture quality. Just do that, and I think you should get better. Okay. Then there is also like the fully funded offers. So for the fully funded offers, you're being given like a like a scholarship in form of an assistantship, like a graduate research assistantship, a graduate teaching assistantship, and it's usually very common in the US and Canada. And there's something I want to mention here. So while you're applying to get like an assistantship, maybe in the US or Canada or Australia or sometimes in the Middle East as well, if you're like most times I've seen this happen most times with first class graduates, and also people with second class upper as well, where you're being given the opportunity to apply directly for a PhD rather than applying first for an MSc and then later going for a PhD. So from your undergrad, if your statement of purpose is very, very compelling and you have like stellar academic records, you can just apply directly for a PhD. I have friends, like a lot of friends who did that, and they're currently in the US, like different places, different parts of the world. So that's something you can consider as well, especially if your grades are very, very strong. Your statement of purpose is very convincing as well. And then on full ride scholarships. So full ride scholarships are just scholarships that they give you where you don't have to be like an assistant. You don't have to teach any course during your master's or your PhD, where you're given like a full ride. And it's common in European countries where the work and like the policy for you to work and school is something that's very, very convenient. So I'll just move on to the next slide quickly, where I'm talking more about the full ride scholarships. Okay, so I've just sort of given some, some opportunities, especially ride scholarships. So there's a PTDF, usually France, Germany, UK, it's for the MSc and PhD level. There is Shell for Niger Delta, Ajip, Chevening, Commonwealth. There are a lot of them. And these ones are like targeted for just schools in the United Kingdom, usually at the MSc level. There's also Total Energies, which is like an MSc scholarship for STEM candidates to France. I think STEM, yeah, mostly STEM candidates to France at the MSc level. There's also the DAD scholarships as well. That's Germany, MSc and PhD level. And there's Erasmus Mundus. So Erasmus Mundus, I've said it's Europe because it's an opportunity for 2 years where you get to study in 2 to 4 countries over the 2 year timeline. So I have some of my friends who did like the first 6 months in France, another 6 months in another European country, maybe Germany or Norway, and then the next 6 months they did it in another European country. So I think it also has the option of having like a joint degree from some of these universities. Yeah, I'll have to verify that, but I think it has that option where you're given like a joint degree from each of the universities, or maybe from 2 of the universities where you've done like the combined MSc programs at. And then moving on, yeah, just talk a bit on standardized tests. So standardized tests, like I mentioned before, just like the name standardized, it's a way of getting like a standard of educational systems globally, especially for candidates who are applying from different regions. And it's not like it's not something people do just eliminate people easily, although that's also what they do. But it's just something to help them know how, like, what's the weight of your undergraduate degree. For example, you're coming from the University of Lagos and you want to go to Stanford or you want to go to Harvard, for example, you would have to sit for the GRE exam, and maybe either the IELTS or TOEFL exam, where from those scores that you get from those exams, the examining body, people reviewing your applications, they would look at it, like look at your scores and see if you fit into that program based off of the average scores that people who get into that program get. Like, for example, if the average score for the GRE for, let's say, mechanical engineering at Stanford University, if the average score for that program at MSc or PhD level is 315 on the GRE or 320, and you get probably like 310, it's not a direct disqualification. It just means that you're like 5 points below the average score, below the typical score that people who get into that program have. So it's not an alarming indicator. It's not an alarming indication. Okay, he or she got 310 and then the average score is 315. It's not really an alarming indication, but it's something that can give them an idea if they were to consider, maybe if they had like a lot of people, and they had some other factors, maybe in the personal statement area, maybe your personal statement is very, very good, and they want to now review some other attributes of your application. That's also something they can fall back on and just look at. Or if it's not that bad, 310 and then the average is 315, but your statement of purpose is fine. And then there are people who have like 315 with, not very compelling statement of purpose. I think they would rather go for you because your statement of purpose is compelling. So it's not the only deciding factor, but then they are very, very important. It's something that as part of your application, there shouldn't be any red flags. There shouldn't be any red flags on your GRE score, your IELTS, your TOEFL, your GMAT. So GMAT is usually for people applying to graduate business schools like MBA programs and all those kind of related programs. So sometimes these graduate business schools prefer GRE or GMAT. And then IELTS and TOEFL, IELTS or TOEFL, they're like English proficiency tests that we have to take because we are from Africa, we are from an English speaking country, but then we still have to take them because for some reason, I think there are metrics online, or there are metrics that they look at that regard Nigeria as, the affluency level is not quite there yet. So these are just standardized tests that you have to take to get into grad school. Just moving on quickly. I think I have 1 or 2 slides left. Yeah, so now this is for when you've gotten into graduate school, or just preparing your mind to get into grad school, essentially. It's very important that you're very aware of time management. because a graduate school environment is totally different from an undergraduate school. It's totally different from undergraduates. It's a different kind of environment. It's a different kind of um, sort of curriculum pattern, sort of. So in most cases, you'd have, like in my graduate program at Imperial College, we had classes from 9 to 5, Mondays to Fridays. And then on Wednesdays, I think we had 9 to 12. And then we had the rest of the afternoon to ourselves to work on group projects and group assignments. So most of the time, you need to be very, very good with time management. And you need to take your attendance seriously. Like attendance matters a lot in graduate schools. And yes, you're planning your time, you're attending classes, but you also need to find, that balance. Finding the balance means, your spiritual life is not dying, your social life is not crying or something. I mean, by that time you must have known, some kind of schedule around your life. So you should be able to find that balance, going to classes when you should study and when you should stop studying, when you should go for, social activities, and also when you should, find some time to pray, to fellowship, to fellowship with God. um, Another point I'd like to, highlight is research. So one thing about graduate schools, any graduate environment, is that you must conduct some kind of research that shows that you are a specialist in that area, a research that shows that you can have some independent thinking of your own. You can, gather facts, you can gather hypotheses, you can gather a lot of things together, analyze data, and then produce an original piece of work that is yours and not anybody's. So for research, the research element in MSc program, of course, it's not as weighty as the research element in PhD program. PhD programs are longer and they are more targeted at producing an original piece of work or an original research area where no one has really done something in before. Someone has done something and you're just trying to extend what they've done, like just sort of like extending the frontiers of existing knowledge. And also, yeah, with research comes conferences where you have to mingle with other professionals and also publications. I mean, after your master's, after your PhD, you should be looking at a couple of publications yourself because that's what tells that, oh, you've done a graduate program and you've you're worthy in character, most especially in learning and in research. Then one thing with graduate programs or graduate school environment is the unexpected challenges that it comes with. Most of the time, you're given like a very strict deadline, and because of those strict deadlines, you're being compelled to, like, you just have to put in that extra effort to meet up, and it can run the risk of affecting other aspects of your life. And one other thing that comes with this is you're also, I didn't want to put it on the slide because I don't really like mentioning it or associating myself with it, but it's something called imposter syndrome, where you go to a place and then you're feeling like, oh, actually, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I just feel like I'm a scam or something, or you just feel like you're a scam. Not you, not me, but that person just feels like they're a scam or they're not meant to be there. So that's also something that people have said, comes with the challenges with finding themselves in an international graduate school environment. And then group projects. Group projects are very, very, very important. Group projects, group projects create that avenue where you can, network properly with your colleagues, like get to know them well. That's where you build network. That's where you meet people who would eventually own Google or Apple tomorrow, or companies like that. That's where you meet them. So when you have like group projects, you should be very, very, very much, agile to take on some of the tasks. If possible, lead some of the presentations. And then I just highlight on volunteering opportunities. So during my masters, I did, I did some volunteering quite a lot. Um, I was also engaged in some external activities where I was part of like a forum talking about climate change, a worldwide student forum talking about climate change, and mingling with people from other universities across the globe as well. So I'll just move on to the final slide. Yeah. So I've sort of prepared some helpful links. I'll share the slides so we can just get these links, but then you can take a screenshot. These are just some of the helpful links that can, give you access to rankings of universities, scholarships, and just more information on grad school. And yeah, thank you very much. Also, I have like a CGPA calculator template
Oh
I'll
yes,
share.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
The CGPA calculator, I was even going to mention it because we said we were going to share
Okay.
it today. So,
Yeah.
but just before you talk a bit about the CGPA calculator, I know that some persons on this call, maybe you're in 100 level, 200 level, and you're wondering how all this information about grad school is your business. Now, the truth is, there is no better time to know about these things than when you're in 100 and 200 level. But for someone like me, I knew about these things when Cyril began to win some of these scholarships, and I began to ask him about them. That's when I got an idea of what it was. Um, for Cyril is also an high scholar, 2020 high scholar, right?
2019 actually.
2019, yes,
Yeah.
2019 high scholar. He traveled in 2020. So Cyril is a 2019 high scholar, and after he got it, I was looking forward to it. I asked him about it. And in 2022, I also became a 2022 high scholar. Now, this brings us to association as well and how you're able to expose yourself to information. So, you're here, don't think that you're missing something. Oh, why are you telling us about grad school? I'm just in 100 level. Man, you should start preparing for all of these things from now. Because if you wait till you're in final year, 400 level, you would you would even regret why you didn't take all this information now. So please just keep your heart open to learn. We'll be taking the panel session very soon. We'll be answering all your questions. So please write your questions, type your questions in the chat box so that we can compile them and attend to them. Also, share the link of this video, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel because we'll be having other meetings and other videos come up that will be helpful. So, Cyril, very quickly, I want you to talk about the place of just maybe in 1 minute or two. What before you explain the CGPA calculator, what's the importance of having your undergraduate project published or any other publications, like involving yourself in undergraduate publications? Maybe from your 300 level, you're already carrying out research and working on publications. Why should people do all of that? I didn't do that because I didn't know at the time, but that's why we're organizing this kind of meetings so that people get the needed awareness well early enough so that they can do all of these things. So what's the place of undergraduate research when you come to or when you talk about grad studies?
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Javier. So it's an extra, how do you say it? An extra feather to the hat, right? When you're making all these applications. So if you can publish your maybe undergraduate assignments or projects or even your thesis at undergraduate level, please publish it, because when you're applying to some schools, they'll go back and look at your publications and see, oh, okay, what's this guy's research potential? It's just something that helps to tell them a little bit about your research potential, especially if that program has like limited slots and they really, really need someone out of undergraduate level who is hot on research. They just don't want to stress themselves. So they're like, okay, this guy has published 1 paper, 2 papers, 3 papers, let's take him. So it's very, very important. It's very, very integral to a good application. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So
Thank
go to
you very
the
much, Avia. Okay. So I'm just gonna bring another screen for the CGPA calculator. I'll share it, but I just want to explain some things because I saw some questions from yesterday, where people were asking about, if I graduated with a certain CGPA, if I'm going to make a first class, if I'm going to make a second class upper or second class lower. So I'm just going to share my screen again. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's my screen. I'm so sorry if you can't see it clearly. I'm just gonna hold on. Let me do something. I'll just try to make it bigger somehow. Okay. Yeah, I think this is big enough. Okay, let me just bigger. Okay, all right. So I just want to explain a few things. So this is like a typical first semester for an engineering student at the University of Port Harcourt. So when you're editing these sheets, please try as much as you can just edit, just remove like the course codes, the course titles to your specific university. You can modify the grade points. I know University of Ibadan. Someone is saying the slide is not clear. If the slide is not clear, you can adjust your YouTube settings. So if you go to settings on YouTube, if you click the settings, then go to quality. When you go to quality, change it to advanced, and then choose 720p. I think with 720p, you can have like a clearer picture quality. Use 720p on your YouTube and you have like a clearer picture quality. Yeah. So when you're working on this, on the sheet, just use your course codes and your course titles specific to your universities. Use the credit units that you have, like if it's a 3-credit unit or a 2-credit unit. Input your scores, your grades. So at the University of Port Harcourt, 70 and above is the A grade. So if I change this to, let's say I change this to 65, you notice the grade will change to B. If I change this to 50, 53, this changes to C. And if I change this to 45, this changes to a D. And then I think there is 43, which should be an E. And then there is 32, which should be an F. So that's just about the grading system. We're not praying for an F here, but let me just take this back. So this is for the first semester year 1. First semester year 1. Then there is first semester year 2 here. First semester year 1, first semester year 2, second semester year 1, second semester year 2. So it just goes down till the till the 5th year. So at the University of Port Harcourt, our engineering is like 5 years. So that's like year 5 first semester and then year 5 second semester. So we imputed all your grade points. Now, for people who are trying to predict what their CGPA would be upon graduation, you can just estimate and use all A's and all A's or just grades you think you can have or you might have before you graduate, and come up to this point to get your total quality points. So for example, in this case, this person, remember we made some edits initially and we dropped from 5.0 to 4.96. So if I go back here and maybe change this to 53, you notice this changes to 4.93. If I change this to 50 again, that's another C. It changes to 4.87. So this just tells you what your likely CGPA would be upon graduation. Yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll share the slides to you guys later. But yeah, thank you very much. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyril. Thank you for that explanation. I believe that with that, people must have gotten the understanding of how to calculate their CGPAs, because I feel that it's like the first step. It's so sad that some persons don't know how to do this, because if you can't calculate your CGPA, you can also aspire towards anything. You can't know how many A's you need to have. You can't know, and that's why people say, I will have 4.6 this semester, but you don't know how you get it. If you know how to calculate your CGPA, the moment you're having a B in your result, you know that it's like this, my 4.9 I'm targeting wouldn't be possible this semester. So that awareness, for you to have that awareness, then you need to know how to calculate your CGPAs. And thank you so much for your session on preparing for graduate studies. It was very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Abie.
So we are going to the panel session now, but just before we do that, I should say that if you want the CGPA calculation sheet, you should send an email to the agameplan@gmail.com. And when you send it, request for it. Also, requests for the slides of the speakers. They say the Bible says, "Ask and it will be given unto you." So if you ask for CGPA calculator, we send that to you. If you ask for pharmacist Cynthia's slide, we send that to you. If you ask for only Cyril's slide, we send that to you as well. So it's ask and it will be given unto you. So thank you so much, Cyril. And to announce, yesterday, one of our speakers, Itofa gave us a mind-blowing session on he gave us a mind-blowing session on how to position ourselves for global impact. And at the end of his session, he announced that he was going to be giving out a gift to 3 persons. He was going to be giving out his book titled Secrets for Building a Successful Non-Profit. And guess what? We have our winners. So drum rolls, everybody, for our winners. So I'm going to be announcing them so you know that the A Game Plan is no scam. So I'm going to be announcing them. Let's just celebrate them in the chat box. If the book hasn't been sent to you, I'm sure that he would send it to you as soon as he can. He's been very busy. You know, he's a TEDx speaker. So yeah. Our first winner, in no particular order, we have Nengs Tage TV, Wisdom SN, and Ebekpo Eyo Basi. Those are 3 winners: Neng Stage TV, Wisdom SN, and Ebekpo Eyo Basi. So look at your emails and expect your gifts sent to you. Very quickly, if you would want your friends to join this call, you can send them the link of this video so they can join in. And to emphasize that this call is also recorded on YouTube, so you can watch it even after the event, so you can soak into all the information much better. We'll be going straight to the panel session, and I'll be bringing up all our speakers here. Yesterday, we had our dear Radiant Onu Esquire on the call, but due to technical issues, she couldn't further her session. She would also be here on the call with us, and she'll be elucidating the concept of balancing your academics with other parts of your life, your business, your spiritual life, and every other thing. Someone already asked the question, and when you asked it, I was grateful that she was also on the call. So in no particular order, join me as I bring up to the panel our first speaker, Itofa Ivara, the TEDx speaker himself. Please put your heads together for Itofa as he comes up the virtual stage. Yay, my brother, the TEDx speaker, here you are. It's an honor to have you. You can turn on your audio. I can't hear you.
My pleasure, Abi. Thank you so much for having me again. I'm super excited and stoked to be out here today.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're also going to be bringing up, I call her the overall best of the overall best. I was going to ask if we could play the video, but then maybe much later I would play the video, maybe somewhere in the panel session. We're going to be welcoming our own pharmacist, Cynthia Okafor, the best graduating student of Pharmacy, University of Ibadan, the unique University of Ibadan. For you to graduate from that school with first class, then 6.9, you should know what that means. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for being on the call. We also have with us an outstanding lady in all fronts. She is one that I would say was able to do this balanced thing very well. She had a business. She is a fashion designer. She's also a speaker. She's also a creative, a writer, a lot of things in one person. She started hosting events and organizing programs right from when we were in university. Very visionary when we were in high school together. I volunteered. It was an honor to volunteer for her event, The Ancient Woman in the 21st Century. And that was one of my highlights in the university, that event. Such a blessing. Please let's welcome up to the virtual stage, Radiant Onu Esquire, our first class lawyer.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to see your beautiful face. We missed it yesterday. Okay. And lastly, but not the least, of course, our international scholar extraordinaire, distinction from the University of, oh no, not University of, I'm missing the
Imperial
university's name
College,
now.
London.
God help me. What do you say? Itofa, what do you
Imperial
say?
College, London.
Imperial College. Yes, exactly. Imperial College. Thank you so much. Our distinction graduate from Imperial College. Join me as I welcome Cyril Pepple. He's a scholar in plenty
Thank you
places.
very much, Abby.
You're an I scholar. You are, which other scholar are you? PTDF or which other scholar?
Shell Scholar.
Shell scholar, a lot of things in one. So here they are. And I'm going to be listing or reading out the questions we have so that we would take them one at a time. We have, yes, this one should be directed to Cynthia and any other person, but Cynthia should start. What are the key things to look out for in an accountability partner apart from his or her intelligence or importance? I can't find Cynthia on the call anymore. But what are the key things? I believe Radiant, you should have an idea of this. What are the key things someone should look out for in an accountability partner?
Oh, okay.
Academic.
Yes. Thank you so much, Abie. Again, I want to apologize for yesterday. Like network really did me dirty, but we thank God, right? So
We are in
quickly,
Nigeria. We are in Nigeria. We
my
understand.
dear, I need to more reasons to leave this country already. Yeah. So I think the very first thing you must look out for in getting whether an accountability partner, a study buddy, whatever it is value. And then by saying value, I don't necessarily mean, but when I say value, the very first value you should even identify is from yourself. So you are asking yourself, what do I really want? Right? And then do I see myself or do I see this thing that I desire in this other person? So it's not about age, it's not about charisma, it's not even about intelligence, but value. Because some person might be intelligent, but then their values don't align with yours. And so it becomes a problem for both of you to flow. Now, there are some persons that they want to graduate with a first class, right? I also want to graduate with a first class. Now, this other person's intention of graduating with a first class is, oh, I have the money to pay my way through. But there are some persons that want to graduate with a first class because they want to work hard and study. So it's not just, I would have just said, oh, anybody that thinks like you, but no, you must be certain that this person shares the same core value as you do, right? And I think that's like the very first thing. And then when you identify that, you can now break it down to, the practical steps of actualizing the reason for that connection. Yeah. So that's when you can now tell, okay, can this person really meet up with this standard? Then that's when you start to check maybe the intellect, the person's availability and all that. But the very first point is, does this person, or do I share the same value with this person? Do we have the same goal? In sight? Are we looking towards achieving the same thing? That's the very first, thing I think you should consider in determining your circle or, partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Value, 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 value everywhere. Thank you. Cynthia is back. Cynthia, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so just when you left, I was asking a question. Someone asked, what are the things to look out for in a study partner apart from intelligence? And Radiant said value. Does this person share the same value as you? So is there any other thing that someone should look out for in an accountability partner?
Yeah, I think it still boils down to the person's value. And inherently, someone that would be your that would be very, because as enough on you, and then someone that you might, someone who is just there to take care about your own academic. That we.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
I hope.
I don't know if it's from my end or yours,
Okay.
but I couldn't really pick up what the exact words you were saying. I don't know if it's just me. But Radiance, could you like hear everything? Cyril, could you hear everything?
No, it was just breaking. So I don't know if she probably wants to say it again so that we.
Okay. So Cynthia, just help repeat because I couldn't get what you're saying. Perhaps you could turn off your video if it helps, though. It's fine to turn off your video if it helps to like make the connection more stable. Hi, Cynthia. Are you still here? Oh, okay. All right. So that's that. Cyril, is there anything to share apart from value?
So yeah, actually, I'm just from scripture. It says, "Can two work together except they be agreed?" And that agreement cuts across many other things. So cuts across the foundation of that person as touching still value, still related to value, like that person's core, how they see life, where they want to get at with what they're doing, how they're putting in their required efforts. And of course, for you to cooperate with that person, for you people to work together, for that person to be accountable for you and for you to be accountable for that person, there has to be that agreement that cuts across several other things. You could have someone that you're accountable to that not only checks up on you when you go to study, but also checks up on your spiritual growth as well. Like, okay, are you balanced? These are the aspects of your life. So, yeah, so value just encapsulates everything. It's like the umbrella term.
I think value is the umbrella. Value is the
Yeah.
umbrella. So I think just before I get to it, I just feel I should share this thing, right? I remember now when I was in school, I know I said it yesterday a bit, but I was particular about things I heard. I cannot be preparing for an exam, and I know that if I don't know this question, it's me and this ceiling and God that will know what will happen in this exam. And then I'm reading with you, and I'm seeing you tearing 5 sheets of paper, small, and you're writing it down. I'm like, me and you now, we can't even read together because me, I know that my hope is in God. Your hope is in your paper. So, and it was so sad because some people wouldn't even want to cover the entire coursework. They call it formation. You know that two persons in front will read two topics. The two persons by this side will read two topics. The two persons behind will read another three topics. Then you at the center, you're reading two topics. So anyone you don't know, you are sharing it to the rest of them. Anyway, and those things are funny. So I wouldn't want to read in that kind of space because at the end of the day, you'll be polluting my own mind. And just maybe I would one day conform to your own side of it, which I don't want. So I think that everyone needs to like just spell out, okay, who are you? What do you want? And who do you want to be friends with? That's on that. Let's go to the next question. And this will be directed to, oh, yes. So Radiant.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to add something here. Again, it still goes down to the value, but I just wanted to give a twist to this formation thing because I did that a lot. But the difference is this: you are forming formation not for exam purposes. So, for instance, I had a study group. Now, because I know that when they taught this particular topic in class, my girl flowed better with the lecturer than I did. So it's simple. Please, when we are preparing for exam, focus here. Now, what do I do? Because I'm one person that whatever you say to me sticks, right? So I would remember something easier because I heard it than I read it. So all I just need you to do is go study it instead of coming to teach me in the language of a professor. Come and talk to me. You get, let's gist about it. So I just had to put that so that people don't, when you see a friend that comes to tell you let's do formation reading, it has its own good sides, right? Not the ones that formation for exam purposes, but sometimes you can do that with your study group, right? So if you know that this is your strength, I mean, especially for science students, maybe there's a particular calculation that is your strength, your friend can actually focus on that while you focus on another, and then you both do cross fertilization of ideas before exam, and then of course during the exam it's going to be easy peasy. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Itofa,
Yes.
if you were
Can you hear
to,
me?
if you were to,
Yeah.
yeah, of course we can. So, for you now, you're someone who has inspired me in a lot of ways. I mean, I look at Itofa and I'm wondering,
Abi,
how did this
you
guy
have
get
started in
all
the
of this?
public.
Just calm down. No, no, this one is no wash, but I should say that I'm so proud of you, Itofa. What you're doing with my Niger Food Bank and Church on the Street and your recognition globally. I mean, you're a TEDx speaker. I'm not a TEDx speaker. I should honor grace, right? So how were you able to do all of these things? How did it start? For people who, you talked about being global yesterday, for someone in the university now who barely has that exposure, how can they maybe in some 2 years, 3 years attain the height that you've attained?
Thank you very much. You know, when you asked this, the very first question you asked about, the person that asked about value, the first thing that came to my mind is a phenomenon called the law of prometrics. And prometrics basically says that you need to have what you call your circle of influence. So what happens to a lot of people is that the people who are supposed to be in their inner circle, they put them in the outside. People who are supposed to be in the outside circle, they bring them on the inside. So when your cycle of prometrics is messed up, what happens is that there is a misflow of information and all that. So for me, I'm going to share an interesting story. I was in my second year, first semester. I had gone home for I'd gone home for the holiday because I went to University of Benin. So I'd gone to meet the family my parents handed me over to, like, take care of Itofa, please watch him, because I was just 18 years old when I started uni. So this was second year, first semester. I remember that I was driving, not driving. I mean, I was in a bus going from the popular bus park to school, and there was this guy inside the bus. His name is Corey Jidaho. You can check him on LinkedIn and on Instagram. He was, I think, in his third, fourth year in Uniben around that time. And we just started an interesting conversation in the bus. He said to me that he just came back from America. I said, America. You just came back from America. Can you break it down to me? And he said to me that as a student, he's been able to represent University of Benin in the US. They've gone with the VC. They've had this Enactus Uniben thing, you know, that Cyril spoke about yesterday. I said, in the same school that all of us are, and you are going to America. And that's why I held him very, very close. And you know, they started exposing me to things like YALI, Barack Obama's Young Africans Leaders Initiative. They started exposing me to things like MCN, Millennium Campus Network. In fact, my first public speaking gig, bro, was given to me by this guy. He was going to America and they had invited him to come and speak. I said, Itofa, you speak very well. Go and speak to me. Go and speak to them there. Mind you, I was in 200 level. The topic they gave me, I never had a topic in my life. They said LinkedIn optimization for personal development. First of all, I was not on LinkedIn. How do you optimize LinkedIn? Bro, I just Googled stuff, went there and spoke to them, and it was really interesting, right? So I was very privileged to have been exposed to people who were already doing global stuff very early, like as early as 200 level. So when Tiro was talking about applying for scholarship, bro, I was in 300 level. My mindset was, as I'm getting out of uni, I'm collecting my transcript. I was pressuring my parents, if you people do not give me passports, I'll go and sell bread and do my passports. That was the mind. That was how radical I was. Do you know, I was so focused on getting my passport and transcript, and I was about getting ready for NYSC. I got all of those stuff. I started applying to schools, Bradford, Galway, and all that stuff. So for me, it was environment, conditioning, the people around me. They were already doing this stuff. So I plugged in, right? Like Abia spoke now about this stuff. Just after yesterday, do you know, only two people texted me on LinkedIn. and I said, please, I want to have an extra conversation with you after what you spoke about yesterday. And I gave them full audience. That's how you know somebody who's very hungry. Hungry people go for more. Beyond all this speaking English here, there's so much we're not saying. Cyril here is a guy who's already doing really huge stuff. He's in Imperial College, London. That's not his, that's like MIT in the UK. That's a huge school. That's so
Yeah.
there's that stuff he knows that probably somebody here doesn't know. Like everybody here. So for me, it was association environment, and I was hungry. I would follow these guys to the restaurant. Let me hold your bag, sir. I will hold your bag. If I let me even pay for the food for you, just be talking to me. And I was doing all of that like a foolish person. And right now, it kind of feels like, even though these guys guided me early on, it now kind of feels like I know it's the mercy of God. I'm not like kind of the guy in front. And it's like, wow, you're inspiring. I was like, I can't inspire you. You people inspired me. So for
Yeah.
everybody here, find those people. They don't have to be in your school. Find them. LinkedIn has
Exactly.
helped. Instagram has helped. Go to them. Tell them. See, men, I want to learn from you. And I'm telling you, even if your mom is frying akara on the street, your dad is a vulcanizer, you don't even have a parent. The world is your oyster. You can become anything. You don't even need money to get that international passport. There are organizations that will fund those sort of stuff. So just first of all, told everybody, yes, dream very, very big. Dreaming is free. As far as you want to dream, and then don't think about the how. God knows how to navigate and orchestrate your path, and you'll meet people who change your life forever.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really insightful, Itofa. That was another session on its own. The global Itofa. Thank you so much. So, going to the next question, someone asked, this should be directed to Radiance. How do you strike a balance between school, church, being an entrepreneur without being affected negatively? Radiance, please. After you would be having Cynthia talk about this, because Cynthia did a lot of stuff, from pageantry to debate to public speaking to coming out with 6.9. Radiance, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I have to turn off my camera because Nigeria just happened to me, but we moved. So the first thing, right, is it begins with your mind. I'm going to be very practical, but so don't think anything I'm trying to say is any of those perspire. No, it begins with your mind. And how is that? You must think it is possible, because if you don't see yourself as achieving it, trust me, no matter what you do, you will just wear out. It will burn you out. So first, it starts with, who am I? What do I want to do for myself? I mean, Itufa just mentioned, do I really see myself as, having limitations? Who exactly do I want to become tomorrow? What is that person I dream of becoming? Now, when you have that vision, right, obviously that is where your mindset becomes strategy. You now start to orient your mind towards a certain thing. And then, because of the reality of who you want to be, you know that there are certain steps you must take. Now you start to break those things down into your various, passion, your purpose, the things that, business, for instance, in terms of profit. Now you identify these things. Part of the things that I had mentioned in the slide, I don't know if Abia could also share that, because I prepared a slide, but then we didn't have the class yesterday. So I had mentioned that no matter how, because I remember.
So, Radiance, just a minute.
Yes.
Radiance, just a minute.
Yes.
As I said, we are following Matthew 7:7. Ask and it shall be given unto you. If you ask for Cynthia's slide, we won't send you Radiance's slide. If you ask for Cyril's CGPA calculation sheet, we won't send you his slide. So make sure when you're sending us an email. And do you know why we're doing all of these things? I think that undergrads should get to a point where they are conscious about their emails. I wasn't. It's until Cyril knows the story about Ice Scholar. That's when I started being conscious about my emails so much. That was me learning late. But then I want to bring people to that point of, as a global person, you should be dealing with emails. Learn how to write emails. It over gave me a screenshot of people demanding for your book. And I was surprised at how they were demanding for that book, because if I was the person, I would not give them. But I mean, we should permit that, but we should learn how to do all of these things, because you can't just bump into an international space and you're like, I need this. they would ignore you because people are writing them 400 words demanding for that same thing. So let's just be serious. Demand for all you want us to send to you, and we'll send them to you. Over to you, Radiance.
All right, thank you so much, Abi. Please, I'm demanding ahead of time for every other person's slide, from Mr. Cyril to Tofa to Cynthia. I've demanded. Thank you so much. Okay, so back to what I was saying, right? So I was trying to say that I attended this event and someone was saying that sometimes when you hear the word purpose, right, people think that, oh, God has, okay, in terms of ministry, or I am, let me say, a speaker in terms of ministry, then in terms of business, I am this. You just try to cause a dichotomy where there is none. Because the truth is, whatever it is that you see yourself as, whoever you think you have been called to be, everything about you is connected. So the only way you can function to create a balance is that you must connect all the dots. Now, how do you do that? For instance, you see yourself as an orator. That's public speaking. Fine and good. It is there. And then you see yourself as, probably because of how well you speak, you now notice that you have the thing for social media influencing. You're able to get money. People like your content. That's business. I've already identified public speaking as probably your passion. I've identified social media influencing as business. And then because of how well you speak too, people, for someone like Abio, they want you to host their events. That's also there, right? Now, it would be crazy for you to say, oh, in the morning, I'm a speaker. In the afternoon, a social media influencer, where you can actually create a brand that encompasses all of these things. Now, that same you can also be an evangelist. Speaking the word of God to people, you are able to tell the word of God in a way that people would, enjoy. Tell stories, for instance. That makes you even a writer. So what am I trying to say? You must connect all. That's just it. You must find the link. You must be able to connect all those dots to see that everything you think is to you doing too many things. It's just you doing one thing in different means or through different means. It's just like I want to travel to, I'm in Abuja. I want to go to Port Harcourt. I can go to Port Harcourt by road. I can decide to go to Port Harcourt by fly, in the aircraft. I can decide to go to Port Harcourt by trekking. I can decide to go to Port Harcourt maybe by teleporting. All of these things, they are different means of me arriving at Port Harcourt. So that's how it is with you as a person. So first you have to identify, who am I? Once you answer that question, who am I? For me, when anybody asks me, I would always say I am a light. So I know that everything about my life, right, revolves around that. So you must first identify who you are and connect the dots. Connect the dots. And for you to connect those dots, obviously you have to now take time to understand yourself, right? Research what are the core things or what are the core activities that take place within this niche I want to create for myself. How do I fit in? How do I develop myself to accommodate all of these things? But first, you must identify who you are, and then you have to connect all. And connecting the dots will definitely bring you to a better understanding, and of course, you now know how to prioritize. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Radiance. Thank you. That was really enlightening. But just to add to that, I know someone would also be asking, what if, because when you gave the example of public speaking and event hosting, I feel like those are quite similar. But what if what I'm doing is selling perfume and my skill is, let's say, writing, and the other thing is I want to graduate well. So somehow I think it would be difficult for that kind of person to maybe connect selling perfume to writing, to, apart from maybe you writing sales copies and all of those things, but maybe you just want to carry down your perfume and go from class to class because that's how you fund your studies and all that. I feel like for that kind of person, if maybe that's your own condition, you need to be so time conscious, especially if you want to graduate well. For me, I would use myself as an example, right? For my 100 level, some people think that maybe I started going from place to place talking in my 100 level. No way. I didn't start doing that in 100 level. I didn't even discover that I could do that in 100 level. It was in 400 level, I think 300 level, I think 400, I think 400 level, that I discovered that I could do all of those things. And I started doing hosting events here and there. And that was because I feel at that point, I was a bit stable in my CGPA. I knew what I wanted and I knew how many A's I needed to get to where I wanted to get to. So it was somehow like a guide for me, right? So I knew that, okay, Confirm that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay, yes. So I knew that if I'm invited to come to this event to anchor, I will not leave my class to go to be anchoring events. There's some opportunities I said, oh no, I'm not available for this one. You should just know when to say no sometimes, even if it's for your business. There are some kind of meetings you may not have time when you know that this lecturer, his attendance is very important, and if you should miss this class, you can't pass the course. You now tell me that your passion is selling, that you're going for a business meeting, or your passion is now, that's where, okay, believers, with all due respect, you know that this lecturer's test is tomorrow. You will now say this night we are praying to cancel the test tomorrow. I don't know, but personally, when I used to hear those prayer points, sometimes they used to sound funny to me, because at the end of the day, some people would now exempt themselves from those tests, and the test will come. You score zero or dash. You now say that is God, what God wants for me. I am paying the price for my academics. See, God doesn't work that way. If God speaks to you that, oh, you should be here, I think it's knowing what God wants you to do. There are sometimes that I have also missed classes. There are sometimes I've missed classes when I know, oh, this man is coming. It won't mean anything. I will leave. Even when they say you must write attendance, I will leave, but it doesn't mean that you will not be doing it every time and you just be I am just in school working my way and God will be canceling my test and canceling my exams and all that. I don't think God will do that, because God sent you to that school to shine as a light. So you need to shine as a light in your academics as well. And you need to be conscious of attending lectures, of writing notes, of doing your assignment yourself, and of course excelling in your exams.
Sorry,
So I don't know.
can I
Yes.
can I just add a bit,
Okay.
right? So
Okay, Radiant.
okay, thank you. I also just wanted to add back to now the reason why I like the instance you had given selling perfume, this, that. Now the reason why I had said it's very important to connect the dots is because if you don't, trust me, it will exhaust you. That's just the truth. That's the reason it will exhaust you, because you will feel like you're giving so much, right? You're so overwhelmed. Now, with the instance you are given, now you are somebody who is excellence driven, and it shows in your results. All you need to do is, you can market your perfume brand through your writing skills, and that gives you joy. So when you're doing it, selling your product is not stressing you out, because it's something natural to you. You like the way you tell the story. Even you're selling a perfume, you're not selling the perfume because of the of just the fragrance, but probably the history, maybe the origin of the perfume, right? You tell this, and then it makes you feel really good. Now, me, for instance, I used to make clothes. So because I was a very creative person, I like to see things create. I just like to be very creative. So what motivates me is when I see somebody looking really beautiful, and I can be a perfectionist sometimes. So when I see somebody looking really beautiful in a piece I've made, God, I have so much joy. Trust me, I have so much joy, right? Because I am excellence driven, and then it still carries me down to my academics. And one thing I need to really hammer, which is what Abi has said, is time management. It is very important. Now, me, for instance, back in school, once it's exam period, I can make clothes, so bring anything you want me to do beginning of semester. But first of all, once CAs don't even come close to me, because for me, I feel that everything matters. I start to look for my A from CA. It's easier. My lecturer will tell you it's easier for you to get 25 over 30 than for you to get 90 over 100. So I see CA is very important. So once continuous assessment starts, don't even come close to me. Keep your clothes. After that, we will continue. Then again, we the exams. After exam, during holiday, bring them. I need money. Bring it, right? And again, I was also what's it called, in fellowship. So like Abia said, some prayer meetings you will fix. I am sorry, sir. My spirit man is lifted. I will be praying in my room, but 10 to 12 hours marathon, because I have a test to prepare for, right? Even the
Is Radiant still here? Okay. I think she's trying to settle her network. But just to continue from that part, don't think that when they now some because some brethren can be funny. When you now give them reasons why you can't attend a meeting, they'll now look at you as this brother. You've gone out of faith. I personally didn't succumb to that pressure. Oh. If I tell you that I can't do this now, I can't do this now. Even in the fellowship, they knew me. When I was serving in JCCF as general secretary, bring everything you want me to do before exam. The moment is exam time. If you carry one, this fellowship, they told me that, I'll say, don't worry, after exam, we'll continue this part of it. Radiant, you're back. Okay, let Itofa
Yeah.
just go on. Let Itofa want to say something.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, all right, Radiance. I can really feel your passion. Well done. I think what I wanted to say is the fact that it's just a little bit of caveat from what you guys are talking about is the fact that anything you don't discover in your undergrad, when you get out of uni, you become a little bit difficult because everything you become is a holistic function of the things you did in your uni. So Abi, I'm pretty sure you started your MC thing from school, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you started honing the
Yes,
10,000 hours Cyril spoke about yesterday. You started honing it from there. So anything you want to do for anybody who's listening to me now, you like to write like Radiant is talking about. You're like a fashion designer or a creative person like Radiant spoke about. Now is the time to put in the work. But you have to create a chasm between work and school. Prioritize. Like don't let those church people confuse you. Please don't make them play with your emotions. Your priority is school, is education. Focus on it. If people want to be like me or be like Bill Gates and drop out, make sure you have a backup plan. Don't say Bill Gates dropped out. Bill Gates' mother was a millionaire. Me, I found what God called me to do. So please, so if you're there, you feel like for me, I know that all these things I was doing, all these things, that's why I confidently graduated with the 2-2, and I'm not ashamed to say it, right? Because I knew all these things they were doing in class was not, bro. I would have tests tomorrow. I'm gonna be reading books of Brian Tracy, John Maxwell. My colleague,
I'll
and
never
my
be
colleague,
me.
You have
my
mind.
colleague, my colleagues will be calling me so far. What are you doing? I said, this thing is not entering my head. It's not entering. I didn't know all of those things I was doing bro. I'll go to class. They'll ask you a question. Can you explain the zoological phenomenon of a particular plant? I'll just write what doesn't even exist, and they'll give me like a D. But just let me get out of this place. I knew what was beckoning on my inside. Right, so I wasn't playing, I wasn't going to cinemas, I wasn't going to flex. I was converting what I loved, which was like I love to read people's biography. I would binge YouTube of great mentors. My head was full, bro. So when I got out of uni, like my first year out of uni, you won't even believe I just graduated because I was the place I was already God was taking me to. He was preparing me with all of those things I was doing. So it's important that you know yourself. So everything Radiant said, absolutely correct. Everything Abi has spoken about, absolutely correct, and Cyril as well. Haven't heard Cyril's voice, but yeah.
Thank you. So I just want to go to Cyril now. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us again. You've been coming and going, but we're coming back to you. Cyril, someone asked about publications. Are publications made anywhere? Where exactly can we publish stuff?
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me? This is just confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, with respect to publications, I was just when I was about sharing my slide, I think I saw something. There's this company called Elsevier. I'm not recommending, but with respect to publications, I think they're very specific to your department or your course, like your course of study. So for me, I studied petroleum and gas engineering. I think for most of us engineering students, we would usually prefer to publish at the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, or there's another Journal of Petroleum Technology that we use. But then for your department, I think there's like a specific journal where you can publish to. So you can either publish to journals, you can present at conferences, and then after the presentation at the conference, they will then publish at the conference. They publish as a conference paper, which also counts as a publication. Then there is also it's still sort of like a conference, but it's sort of like an exhibition kind of event where you can exhibit some elements of your project. Maybe you did something in robotics, and then they can tell you to send the paper of that project, of that piece of work for them to publish it for you. So what you need to do is to find out for the person asking that question. For the person asking that question, you need to ask you can ask either your senior colleagues who have published in your department, or you can speak to your head of department or your lecturers to know the specific journal,
Lecturers, yeah.
because journals also have, there's something they call indication factors, like factors that indicate the quality of the journal. So you just don't go online and just select any journal and publish there. You might discover you just gave your research for free without any kind of credit to it. So make sure you make inquiries on the high impact journals where you can publish to, so that when you publish and you're applying to schools, they're like, this guy, he did his work well. Not the one that some people will create some dummy websites and say we are accepting papers. People start submitting there, and when you submit and you're now referencing that article, they'll be like, this journal, the impact factor is very low. So what is this?
No.
That's like a paper you've already put
Yeah.
out there. So just make sure you make enough inquiries
Yes.
before using anyone's code.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cyril. I was going to say that I regret why I didn't go for a society's conference like Nigerian Institute of Civil Engineers. Like they used to have this, we call it NICESA anyway, students affiliate, like to go for conferences and represent the department, present papers, work on projects with other universities. I regret why I didn't go for all of those things because the opportunity was there, but it's in, okay, we are going to Lagos for this, Abuja for this. If you're in undergrad and you see all those opportunities, you should actually like use them, because I know one of my classmates at the time, they went and they had the best presentation for amongst the universities in Nigeria, and it was something like it's something you could add to your CV, but unfortunately I didn't go, so I wouldn't add that to my CV. So that's just to answer that. I was going to call Cynthia, but she's off the call again. Someone asked, okay, it's Jane asking, how can a person deal with lack of concentration when studying? Radiant, this should be directed to you in the absence of Cynthia. If she comes, she would also say something about this. How can a person deal with lack of concentration when studying?
Okay, thank you so much again. um, hmm. Well, but why would you be distracted when you want to study? It's crazy. It's funny because it's like you want something. If you want something, then you should give it your all, right? So I think that's the very first thing. You should, except you probably don't want to study, because if you want to study and you know that there is no way out for you, like Abia said, you don't have formation, you don't have anything, you would give it your all. That's just, to lay the foundation. But let's be more practical now. Now, the very first thing, this is how I study, right? Even till now, the first thing is I prepare myself ahead of time. So how do I do that? When I know I'm in nights, I'm a night person, right? I'm a night owl. I read at night. So because I know I need to study at night, I have to make sure I sleep in the afternoon, or I sleep in the, like maybe when I come back from class, it's probably by 4 or 5. So when people who have just come back from school, and then then in US, the people can be so intimidating. Like you are just leaving class or going back to your around 3 p.m. I see somebody carrying bag going for night class by 3 p.m. and then you think you're not your life, right? So I can't be that person, because I know I am just going there to deceive myself. So what would I rather do? I will go and sleep, so that when that person is now sleeping out of exhaustion, I will probably be awake reading. So yes, you have to understand your own reading pattern and work with it, because that's the best way. Every person has I think they call it what's the word now? Assimilation period in a day. There is usually that particular in a day that whatever it is you put into your head or your brain, it sticks. So you must find your own assimilation period. And the truth is that once you find that in, concentration comes natural, because everything is entering. I think somewhere in the slide I had said that there is this thing that consistency gives you. Like when you start to see the results, it just excites you, and then you want to keep doing it. So when you see that, whenever I read within so time, I enjoy it very well, it will become very natural for you. So that period of time becomes very sacred to you. So you know that you cannot be chatting within that period of time. You cannot be having any careless conversation within that period of time. You cannot be surfing the internet within that period of because you know it is very sacred to you, right? So that's what I mean by understanding your own study pattern. And I look for your assimilation hour. That's just the truth. Everybody should be able to identify this is the 3-4 hours of the day that I know that for me it's between anything from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. Just anything I study within that period, it stays. But after then, I can look for it in my brain. You get. And then another thing again is this is me being very practical. The presence of the Holy Spirit. I don't joke with that because I know that His presence is something. His presence is a thing. It's tangible, right? So whenever I want to study, I consciously invite Him, right? I consciously invite Him, like, okay, I need us to do this together. And for some reasons, there is usually serenity. Now, this is where you now get to do what works for you. If you want to do music, you want to do probably listen to some of all this classical music or something. Something to just keep you in a particular atmosphere.
Yes,
right?
you can.
Okay, and then another thing that can help you concentrate is don't just study. Try to test what you have studied. I don't know if you get my point. Like, don't just read like, oh, I am reading. When you read, take a break. And see how much you have. It's breaking. Okay. Okay. Is
Yeah, I think
okay.
It's better now. It's better now. Yeah.
So I think the last thing I was trying to say is another thing you should do is just like asking yourself, because the more you do that, the more progress you know. Oh, I'm making progress. I'm not making progress. So it's not even about reading your assimilation hour. If maybe you think your assimilation hour is 5 hours, and then throughout that 5 hours you read, and after that you can't remember anything, you're deceiving yourself. So it's also important for you to take intermittent breaks, right? So if you can do maybe 1 hour stretch, you go 1 hour stretch, take a break, take a walk, read a piece, or just take a sheet of paper and try to write everything you have read. All those things that, I don't know if you play this concentration game, that's just how it works, right? Just give it that apt attention, and then it's going to flow, and try to make it interesting as well, right? Don't be boring about your reading. Don't be boring. I used to be very, so thank you.
Thank you. Just a lot to be said, that can be said. Siri, you want to say something, but now I can see Cynthia. We just have like 6 minutes on the call. Cynthia, someone is asking, how do you identify your reading pattern? You talked about reading pattern. What if someone doesn't know when they understand best? How can they find it out? Or how to read, how to structure a reading pattern that works for them?
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, for some people, before they can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
I want to be sure you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So for some people, so this is my response. For some people, before they can get married, for some of them, they have to try to date different kind of people. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but it just happens that way, that for some people to know, okay, they are okay with an Igbo guy, they have to date Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. So for me, I would advise you try, if the semester is just starting, you can try different reading patterns, and then you see what works for you. For me, I started off with trying to read at night, because I see people reading at night, and then I will just keep dozing. So the moment you see that you're sleeping uncontrollably, just know that it's not for you. The moment you see you've tried it to read at a certain time, and then you can't recollect what you've read, it could be that reading pattern is not for you, or maybe you read in a place that does not suit you properly. So you would have to start out by try to read in the morning, try waking up by 3 a.m. to read till 5. If that doesn't work, if you're too sleepy, try 4 a.m., try 5 a.m., try reading in between classes, maybe break times, try reading in the evening, after school, after a bath, try reading at night, and see which works for you best, which just evaluate to see which time you're able to cover a lot of things, you're able to assimilate a lot, so you're able to remember things you've read.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Cyril, you wanted to say something just before we wrap up.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to say something just to add on the concentration question. So I figure that sometimes if I'm finding it difficult to concentrate, then it's possible there are some things I haven't done already. Maybe maybe I haven't eaten. Maybe I haven't eaten well, or there are some assignments that maybe there's a deadline. It could be like somehow, I'm just being very careful when I say this. It could also be a nudge, it could also be a nudge for you to probably attend to a deadline or to respond to something that you need to do for the concentration to come, especially when you've tried everything. Like maybe you've prayed, you've done several other things, and it's not working and the concentration is not coming. Then it's possible there's something on your to-do list that you need to attend to, and just check it off before you continue studying. I just noticed that happens to me sometimes when I'm finding it difficult to concentrate. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And this should be the last thing I say just before I summarize entirely. I feel like someone may also be saying, I've tried this one, is not working. I've tried this one, is not working. No reading pattern is for me. I don't think that is true. I think certain times you have to condition yourself to a particular pattern that you feel what may work. Maybe your friends read at this time and you don't read at any time. You've tried morning, afternoon, night, you sleep the moment you open your book. You need to be intentional about something. Okay, I want to start reading at this time. I know that when I developed the habit of reading in the mornings, like early morning 2 a.m. to like 6, it was during my jam. So during that time, I used to wake up. So it was just when I was in the university, it was just a thing. I would always wake up in the morning. When I go to night class with people, I remember that sometime I was in fellowship. When I was in fellowship and I had to go to the fellowship center to sleep, when I go there, I know that I will sleep first before I wake up to study anything. When they wake up to, or when they come and they're just reading straight, me, I will just climb my bed and I just lay on the ground or somewhere on the bench or anything and just sleep. When I wake up to read, they will be sleeping. When I wake up to read, they'll be sleeping. And when everybody wakes up in the morning, they would say, I didn't study at all because they saw me sleeping throughout. I'm like, this is not my pattern of reading. This is what works for me. So I think it all boils down to you intentionally adapting yourself to a particular reading pattern. If it's very difficult to find your reading pattern, it's important that you develop one for yourself, one that works. So thank you so much, Cyril, and thank you so much, Radiant, for joining the call today. We are summarizing right now. I know that everyone has had an impactful time learning from our speakers, Itofa Ivara and Radiant on the first day, Cyril Peppo and Cynthia Okafor, pharmacist Cynthia Okafor on this second day. It's been value upon value on the A game plan from day one and day two. Would like to connect with you on social media, so do well to follow us on all social media platforms as displayed on the screen. You can send follow-up questions on our social media platforms. If you're also watching the replay of this video, do well to subscribe and like the video and share the video to people that you think it would help. Also, after this event, we'll be starting a mentorship platform called the A Game Circle. The A Game Circle. So to be part of the A Game Circle, you also need to send an email to the A Game Plan so that we can add you to the Telegram platform where we'll share other information that would be helpful to you. I want to say a very big thank you to you for staying with us from day one and day two. I'm sure that you've had value upon value for your time. So do well to send us reviews. What do you think about this session? What did you learn? Reach out to us on social media. You can send us an email to send us your review, and we'll be glad to get them and engage with you as well. We wish you a very successful time as an undergrad, and we know that from this event, you would have testimonies spring forth by God's grace. Thank you for joining us. Have a very good evening.